Hey, what all can you do?
Hey, I can do a bunch of things. Updating trackers, syncing data with Google Sheets and PostgreSQL databases, generating PDF reports, also convert Markdown content into PDFs dynamically. What do you need help with?
So this is the N8N workflow connected to Chat GPT here as a UI, and the UI can be anything. It can be a React UI like this. I already have a co-analyst UI, or it can be a single page JavaScript UI, or it can be a Streamlit UI depending on the use case. So I'm asking it, can you share a critical evaluation of MCP model context protocol? Use the latest info. So now it is doing a web search and it is shared something. Saying, can you share this as a nicely formatted PDF report, please? So it is now talking to the connector, trying to connect to the net and workflow. So I'll say confirm. If we see here, now a request has come here. This node has run, workflow executed successfully. So here is your nicely formatted PDF report. So I'll say download PDF. So here we have a PDF report as per with some formatting, some basic formatting. And I'm going to ask it to update these entries into the tracker, OpenAI, 𝐀𝐮_AI, fire call, 𝐂𝐈, and whatever field it has got many fields. And if I don't provide a field, it will apply its own judgment and apply it. Here comes the third record, and that. So all the four entries it has added. I had given it only this much. Remaining thing, whatever I did not give, I asked it that it has to use its own judgment. And then GPT use case 1, 2, 3. These I am asking it that please share 3 practical use cases where this can be used. So the concept here is that you can update any kind of systems, and during the processing or in the update, you can have GPT add additional feed or process the data or do some web scraping and add that data, right? Now, when this has got updated, along with it, what happens is in this update field, it updates the Google Sheet, it also updates the Postgres warehouse. So let's see what has happened in the Postgres warehouse. Are these entries now there or not? So I'm saying this, I've shared my database credentials, and I'm saying there's a table called 𝐀𝐿 LLM apps, and show me the last 4 rows. I've shared, since I know the schema, I've shared the details. And this is the result, right? These are the 4 that we just added now. 𝐂𝐈, what we saw, exactly what we saw here in the Google Sheets. In addition, there is an auto number field which I am adding, and here I am already also updating with a system date. So I'm just saying, no, the other report format. This one should be running. So this is the one PDF. It is now generating the PDF format report, and it is emailing to my email ID. Currently, I have hard coded my email ID. And now this deck generation is running with deck is always kept. So these two run in sequence. Deck is not emailed when I ask, then it will send. So now let's look at my email. So here we see the email has come. So I will double click on this, and if I look at this, so this comes as a PDF report format. It comes in this kind of a format. Now I'm asking it that send me the deck format. So the deck format, now this is the one which will be deck. It is now emailing the deck. It is picking up the deck is already ready. So it is just picking up the deck, and it is emailing the deck. So workflow executed successfully. So here we go. We have got a tracker deck format. If I open here, again it's a PDF, but in a PowerPoint kind of a format, Google Slides, right? So it is one pager per item. So this is the same item that we had updated there. Unfortunately, only the first two have come. Then the next two has not come. So there is that needs to be little debugging required there. But here, this is a templatized report, right? So this is in templatized report, and what's happening here backend is connecting to the Google app script, which triggers a report and the deck generation. Google App Script is a very powerful tool here because couple of reasons. Number one, it's free to use. Number two is anything to be done within the Google ecosystem, especially when you have to do emailing and all, and where you want to expose that as an API endpoint. So I can do that in Google Colab also, but if I do a Python script for the same thing, I need to deploy it separately. But with app script, it is like Java. It's pretty much a JavaScript, right? So it allows you to create a JavaScript data processing or any kind of processing code which can be deployed for free. If you use a service like Render, it will cost $6 a month for one simple smallest of the starter pack, small fast API server. First, we will see how they are connected. Then we go into each of these nodes. So here, if I say edit GPT in the configuration, then this is the main. This is the action schema or the OpenAPI schema, which allows it. This is where the connection happens. This is the same schema. Same schema for function calling, which is a standard Open API format this allows, this is telling your agent, or this is telling ChatGPT that okay, this is the URL for my API endpoint for this purpose. This is the path which you have to go to. So this is the same one as this. So this we have this. There's a test URL and the production URL depending on what you want to do. So this is the same URL which we have here URL in the path. Now let's look at some of the important pieces. So now where I am telling ChatGPT that whenever you are sending it out, you have to definitely include something called type, and the type can be update, report, deck, MD to PDF, and DB query. And here these are instructions for, these are the descriptions for the agent. ChatGPT understands what to use when. Update has to be used when a user requests this. Deck has to be used when I request this. So that is how it is able to differentiate. Because the data which is sent depends on the type. So for example, when it is sending out an update, if it is updating a tracker, then these fields need to be there. If it is doing a database query, then these fields need to be there. Host for the database, you need a host for the database connection required when the type is query. When it comes here, now here what is happening, if you see, I am using the switch node. So I am using this switch node. So here I am based on the switch node. If the body type is update, then I am creating these routings. Update means please update the Google Sheets and please update the Postgres data warehouse. And in between, I am updating, doing a little bit of a data processing, simple one, updating date, but you can do far more. And keep in mind, this also has a code node. I have not used it myself, but a custom code for JavaScript in Python is, I think, is in beta. Now, what if second one is MD to PDF? This is for if I send a markdown, then the markdown text comes here, and what happens here? From here it goes to this is a HTTP request, right? So now I am sending it to a separate endpoint, which is a custom built FastAPI server. It comes to this. This is the GitHub code. I have deployed it on render. Once testing is over, I deploy it on a self-hosted version of _Q_II. So this is the code. So what's happening here? I am basically sending that text to this URL. So this is a URL, md to pdf fly.dev. If I click on this, so this is the service, and they have got an API. It's a free to use, a pretty decent job, and there are many there are for converting Markdown to PDF. I came across many of them, or you can write the whole custom coded if the things are more complex. It comes to the URL here, and once the PDF once I get the PDF back, I save it to a temporary static location on my FastAPI server. I create a temporary directory is there, so it is stored there, and a temporary URL is created, and this URL is the one which is sent. The temporary URL is sent back to n8n. n8n will then send it back to whoever is requesting it. In our case, it is ChatGPT. If I was using some other UI like this or this one, so then it will go to whichever UI is requesting it. Creating the PDF format report and emailing it, then generation of deck and the emailing of deck. So these three things which are happening, these are happening in Google App Script. So here if you see, if I click here, you will see I am giving the URL of an app script. So Google App Script, like I mentioned, a very powerful feature. It's an endpoint. It's just a trigger endpoint, and there is no parameters, nothing. It's a trigger. As soon as something hits there, it triggers the code. So the app script will look something like this. This is the app script. So this is the print selection to PDF, and I'm giving the spreadsheet ID, and then the whole processing will happen, and it is sent to the email ID. I have hard coded the email ID, but you can take it as a parameter in case you want to send it to send it to a custom email ID. It can be given as a parameter. And this app script, it is come here. It is deployed. If you look at the deployments here, it is deployed as a web service. So it is deployed as a web app, and this is the URL for the endpoint. So you can deploy as many for free. You can deploy JavaScript app working on the Google Cloud, like I mentioned earlier. Okay. Now this app, this was basically done with ChatGPT. You can use whichever AI coding tool you are using, or nowadays I use more of Cursor. I did a very detailed video on app script, so I will drop that in the link. And now we come to the last one, which is database query. So the database query, by the way, again, this is good. Again, I'm making a HTTP request and I'm sending out this host and all those details. So where does it come? It comes to this. It comes to this GitHub code. And this is the same FastAPI server which I have covered in most of my videos. All the videos on Rex 3, all that. Everything is dependent on that one server. So this FastAPI server, now I have also shared the documentation for build and how to build and deploy it.